I'd like to talk a little bit about architectural control in homeowner associations. It's kind of interesting that the law has said since 2007 that your association has to have articulate standards by which to judge when there's a proposed architectural change. I'm going to be talking with my hands a little bit here, so bear with me. Most documents were written in such a fashion to say that if there are architectural controls, it's either the ARB, the Architectural Review Board, or the Architectural Control Committee that gets an application from an owner. It has a certain number of days to consider that application, and it either approves or denies it. And there's boilerplate language in there that says the committee can use any grounds, including aesthetic grounds, to approve or deny that. Well, that worked well for a long time until a state legislator wanted to build something in his homeowner association community, and he applied and was denied. And he said, why? And essentially the answer was, well, what you were going to do is ugly. We don't like it. And as one of my good friends who grew up in Chiefland said, because I'm a Chicago boy, he said, that dog won't hunt, which means that's not an acceptable answer. Why is that? The law requires that you give people due process, and due process involves having everybody know what the rules are. So you can't have committees that are taking things into consideration and saying, well, we think this particular change is pretty and this particular change is ugly, or this color is ugly, or what have you. So that legislature in 2007 passed a requirement that essentially requires that you articulate what the standards of the community are. So that way I know as an owner, I can ask and say, what are the architectural standards? Now, some communities have come out with a book about yay thick, dealing with everything from the type of tiles that can be on the roof to paint colors to trim and doors and the walls of the home. And that's all well and good. But if you're not in a position to do that, then at least have the ARB or ARC or the board pass a resolution which is simple and basically say something like, everything that's in the community that already exists and has otherwise been approved will be approved. And that way everyone knows that when it's time to replace their roof, for example, and there's a certain type of shingles 2 streets over, they can say, okay, what kind of shingles are those? I want to put on the same shingles as the home at 1247 Roxbury or whatever, and it will be approved. That's a no-brainer for your ARB. If somebody applies and there is no color approval, let's just say they want to paint their home, and you adopt a standard that says the standard is what exists as of today, because times change. Remember back in the 70s, maybe you don't, I do, cockroach brown and tan were very popular. Then you had the Miami Vice colors in the 80s, the aqua and teal, and now who knows, jailhouse gray was popular for a while. It's hard to say, but the point is, whatever the color of your community is going to change over time. And if you adopt a standard that says whatever's already here is okay, that's going to require a rejection of a paint color that's not already in the community. But here's the saving grace, if you will. The committee can always consider adding that to your color palette. They might think, well, gee, that's really not ugly. It's something that we can approve, but we can't approve it now. So have the committee meet properly, give proper notice, make a proper record of what you're doing, and add that paint color or roof tile or touchdown Buddha or whatever to your architectural standards, and then you invite the owner to go ahead and reapply. So therefore, by the time they reapply, you've already got that color added. And you're breaking the link between application, it's ugly or not approvable, denied, get out of here, to application, consideration of standards, adoption of standards, reapplication, approval. It's really quite simple, and it's not expensive to enact such a policy. But if you don't have a policy, you have no policy. Remember, it's all about due process.